Seth Rollins collapsed backstage and the WWE tried to bury it. Yes, you heard that right. Moments after entertaining millions in the ring, Seth freakin' Rollins was found unconscious behind the curtain, his body limp, and his condition so alarming that medics rushed in and instantly called for an ambulance. And while fans in the arena were celebrating what they thought was another typical WWE spectacle, backstage chaos was erupting, and not a single camera was allowed to capture what really happened. Security tightened within seconds, higher-ups screamed for all non-essential personnel to leave the area, and within minutes, Seth Rollins was being wheeled out of the backstage hallway and straight into the back of an ambulance, with his wife Becky Lynch visibly shaken, running alongside and screaming for answers that no one could give her. But the most disturbing part of all of this, WWE officials have gone completely silent, refusing to comment on Seth's condition, refusing to allow fellow superstars to speak publicly, and even allegedly instructing production staff to delete any footage from security cameras in the vicinity. What the hell is WWE hiding? And why is Seth Rollins, the very face of their brand, being treated like a liability instead of the legend he is? It all began after Raw went off the air, where Seth was said to be in extreme pain during the final minutes of his match, but continued pushing through the agony just to deliver for the fans, unwilling to break character or show weakness. But the moment he stepped through the curtain, he reportedly collapsed face first into the concrete floor, triggering immediate panic. According to several sources backstage, Rollins was gasping for breath, drenched in sweat, and murmuring incoherent words as trainers rushed to his aid. One source claimed that Seth's heart rate was off the charts, and that he had been complaining about severe chest tightness throughout the day, something WWE doctors allegedly downplayed earlier, assuming it was just stress or muscle strain. And now, with Seth hospitalized, sedated, and undergoing multiple scans, the WWE universe is left completely in the dark. Fans have taken to social media in a frenzy, demanding answers, launching hashtags like #JusticeForSeth and #PrayForRollins, yet the only response from WWE has been a generic statement: Seth Rollins experienced a medical emergency following Monday Night Raw and is currently under observation. That's it. No updates. No footage. No acknowledgement of how serious things really are. But insiders tell a different story. Apparently, there had been signs leading up to this. Rollins had been pushing himself beyond human limits, working through multiple injuries, sleep deprivation, and relentless travel schedules, all because WWE needed a reliable champion. He reportedly turned down offers to take time off, worried that it would damage his standing or derail ongoing storylines. And that's exactly what WWE wanted, a loyal workhorse who would keep the show running no matter what. But now, the price for that loyalty might be his life. Eyewitness accounts suggest that when Rollins went down, the panic backstage was unlike anything seen in recent memory. Superstars were screaming for medics, Becky Lynch was allegedly hysterical and had to be physically restrained by staff as EMTs loaded Seth into the ambulance, and a few wrestlers even threatened to walk out if WWE didn't immediately call for emergency services. But instead of acting quickly, some say management initially tried to wait it out, to see if Seth would recover on his own. Only after it became obvious that this was a life-threatening situation did they finally take action. But why the hesitation? Why the silence now? Could it be that WWE feared the optics of another top star collapsing due to overwork? After all, this wouldn't be the first time the company has been accused of pushing their talents to the brink. And when the cameras are off, when the fans have gone home, when the spotlight fades, what happens to these wrestlers who give everything to the business? Apparently, they collapse in pain, and the company scrambles to cover it up. In the hours following Seth's hospitalization, close friends and fellow superstars tried to reach out, only to be told by WWE Communications to respect the family's privacy, a convenient excuse that seems more about controlling the narrative than protecting Seth. Several wrestlers have now begun speaking anonymously, revealing that Seth had been suffering from chronic chest discomfort, extreme fatigue, and even shortness of breath for weeks. One even claimed that Seth had passed out briefly during a recent European tour, but WWE reportedly chalked it up to dehydration and told him to keep going. If that's true, this isn't just a tragedy, it's a scandal. A betrayal of trust. A cover-up at the highest level. And WWE's refusal to offer meaningful updates only fuels speculation that the situation is far worse than they're letting on. Is Seth in critical condition? Is his wrestling career over? Will he even walk again? None of these questions have been answered. Instead, WWE has shifted focus, releasing flashy promos for upcoming events and pretending like nothing happened, as if Seth Rollins isn't currently fighting for his life in a hospital bed. And fans aren't having it. Thousands have flooded the company's social media pages, demanding transparency, demanding to know why their champion is being treated like a disposable asset. And while WWE may be hoping this story gets buried under the next week's programming, it won't. Not this time. Because this is Seth Rollins we're talking about, the visionary, the architect, the man who rebuilt himself time and again to give fans the show of a lifetime. And now, the show might be over for good. Doctors are reportedly monitoring his heart for potential long-term damage, and early unconfirmed reports suggest that he may have suffered a mild cardiac episode, possibly due to intense physical strain and exhaustion. While no official diagnosis has been released, the silence is deafening, and the implications are terrifying. And through it all, Becky Lynch has remained by his side, refusing to leave the hospital even once. Sources say she's been breaking down repeatedly, blaming herself for not forcing him to rest, not making him see a specialist sooner, and now haunted by the possibility of losing the father of her child. Other superstars have offered support, but many are now questioning their own safety. If this could happen to someone like Seth, a top star with access to the best care, the best training, the best everything, what hope do the others have? The incident has reportedly reignited backstage tensions between wrestlers and management, with several locker room leaders demanding changes to health protocols, more mandatory rest periods, and better transparency regarding medical evaluations. But whether WWE will actually listen is another story. After all, this is a company that thrives on spectacle and grinds its talent like gears in a machine. And when those gears break, they're replaced. But Seth Rollins isn't replaceable. He's one of a kind, and what happened to him isn't just heartbreaking, it's enraging. Fans deserve to know the truth. Wrestlers deserve better. And WWE needs to be held accountable. Because until they stop treating their stars like tools and start treating them like human beings, this won't be the last time we hear about a hero collapsing behind the scenes. The world is watching now. The fans are furious. And unless WWE gives us real answers, real transparency, we won't stay silent. Not for Seth. Not for any of them. Share this video. Flood WWE's pages. Demand justice. Because Seth Rollins deserves better. And we won't stop until he gets it. And the nightmare only gets darker. As more details begin to leak from sources close to the situation, it's becoming terrifyingly clear that what happened to Seth Rollins was not some random medical fluke. It was the inevitable result of years of mistreatment, overexertion, and corporate negligence. One longtime WWE employee who chose to remain anonymous came forward to say this wasn't the first time higher-ups were warned that Seth was nearing a physical breaking point. There were meetings, the insider revealed. Doctors told them. Trainers told them. Even Seth told them. He needed time off. He needed full scans. He needed rest. But every time, it was the same answer: "You're too important right now. We'll reassess after the next pay-per-view." That next pay-per-view never came, and now Seth Rollins is laying in a hospital bed with wires attached to his chest, barely able to speak, while the company he bled for pumps out tweets about SummerSlam like nothing ever happened. But something did happen, something catastrophic. And the question that's echoing throughout the wrestling world is, why does WWE always wait for tragedy before pretending to care? Over the last 72 hours, multiple reports have confirmed that Seth is now undergoing a full cardiovascular analysis. There are fears of lingering damage to his heart, and even murmurs that doctors are investigating whether he suffered a mild cardiac arrest or a dangerous arrhythmia that went undetected for weeks. And still, WWE is quiet. Deafeningly quiet. Not one official update on his diagnosis. Not one press release clarifying the truth. Just silence. And as fans, we're being asked to simply accept that, the same way we're supposed to accept high-risk ladder matches, brutal travel schedules, and championship reigns built on broken backs and crushed spines. This is the same Seth Rollins who has carried the company on his shoulders for years, giving us moments that defined an era. From cashing in the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania to burning it down every Monday night, Rollins wasn't just a performer, he was a movement. He gave everything. And this is how WWE repays him. By sweeping his collapse under the rug, praying the public forgets before SmackDown airs. It's disgusting. Fans have started petitions. Thousands are demanding that WWE release the full medical timeline leading up to the incident, along with an explanation of why Seth was cleared to compete despite ongoing complaints of chest pain and dizziness. But insiders say the company is lawyering up, more concerned with liability than with Seth's life. And make no mistake, this isn't about one man. This is a pattern. How many more superstars need to drop before WWE finally accepts responsibility? How many more legends do we have to lose? Seth's condition remains critical but stable as of the latest information, with Becky Lynch refusing to leave his side for even a moment. A close friend of the couple described the scene at the hospital as devastating, saying Becky has barely eaten or slept, only stepping away to make desperate calls to family and friends. According to that same source, Becky reportedly had to be sedated briefly after an emotional breakdown in the hospital corridor. She thought she was going to lose him, they said. And she still doesn't know if she won't. The couple's daughter has been kept away from the hospital for now, staying with family while doctors work around the clock to stabilize Seth's condition. It's a level of emotional trauma no family should have to endure, and it all stems from a company that refused to listen until it was too late. Meanwhile, WWE continues business as usual. Advertisements, promos, merchandise pushes, and pay-per-view hype have not slowed. There hasn't even been a moment of silence or a video tribute aired on Raw or SmackDown to acknowledge the man who helped build the very foundation of the modern product. Some talent are said to be furious about this, with several reportedly pushing to walk out of scheduled appearances if WWE doesn't start taking their health seriously. One source claimed that a group of locker room veterans confronted management and asked why there's no transparency about Seth's condition. The response: "We'll handle it internally." Internally. That's not good enough. Not anymore. Not when the man who gave everything might not even return, not just to the ring, but to a normal life. This isn't just about wrestling. This is about humanity. About ethics. About drawing a line between entertainment and endangerment. Seth Rollins is a father, a husband, a son, not just a performer in tights jumping off turnbuckles for a crowd. And if WWE doesn't realize that, then they've truly lost their soul. But you haven't. The fans haven't. That's why we're speaking out. That's why #SaveSeth is trending, why people are flooding WWE's offices with emails, DMs, and calls demanding an explanation, demanding accountability. And it's working. Rumors are swirling that sponsors are starting to ask